Mischievous Kitties, new home. The world passed by in blurry greens and blues. A fluffy calico cat lifted her chin to look at the colors through the bars of the cat carrier. A small tuxedo kitten was curled into a tight ball and nestled against her stomach. The kitten took a sharp, deep breath, and the calico gave him a couple licks on the head. She laid her head back down, covering him. She didn't know what was going to happen to them. Just earlier that day, they were playing together in a cage at the vet's office. And now, they were in a carrier being driven somewhere. After the last 2 weeks of the two of them trying to survive on the streets, the calico could only hope that it was a place they could call home. Mer-Ka was woken up from his nap by the sound of a car door being shut. The fluffy brown kitty yawned with a squeak and listened as he heard footsteps downstairs. He looked around. He was laying alone on owner's bed. He got up, stretched, and sunk his claws into the plush comforter. Mer-Ka then jumped off the bed and walked downstairs. As he rounded the corner at the bottom of the stairs, he saw the side door close. He sat down and listened for footsteps. His ear twitched at a crunching sound. He looked at the room that sat on the other side of the hallway and saw a female cat walk out, swiping her tongue around her muzzle. The female had cream fur everywhere except for her brown ears, paws, and tail tip. She looked at Mer-Ka with happy, bright blue eyes. "Hi, Mer-Ka," she mewed. "Did you have a good nap?" "Yes, Cream," Mer-Ka yawned. Cream purred, amused. Maybe the nap was not long enough. Mer-Ka scratched an itch on his nose with a paw. "What's owner doing?" "No idea, but the sunroom door is closed." Mer-Ka jerked his head up. "What? Why?" "No idea," Cream shrugged. Mer-Ka stood up and started walking into the living room. "Where are you going?" Cream asked. "Going to check on why there is a closed door," Mer-Ka stated as he continued on his path. "The door upstairs is closed often. Why does this one have you worried?" she asked, confused. He stopped and looked back at her, a little frustrated at her confusion. "That door is only closed when owner is not home or asleep. But the sunroom door is never closed. Now it is? I need to know why." He resumed walking across the living room. "Okay," she responded. After considering it for a few moments, she saw it did make sense. She got up and followed him. "Would you like some backup?" "Sure," he responded half-heartedly as he sniffed the air. He caught a whiff of a strange scent. Startled, he stopped to take a better sniff, but didn't catch it again. He opened his mouth slightly and took another deep breath. There it was again. What was that? Another cat? No, 2 other cats. He turned around quickly, slapping Cream in the face with his tail and then bumping noses with her. "Ow!" they both exclaimed as they took a step back, rubbing their noses with a paw. "Sorry," Mer-Ka apologized. "Are you okay?" "Oh yeah, just give me a minute," Cream mewed as she sat down and started to wash her face. "What was wrong?" she asked between licks. "Didn't you smell that?" Mer-Ka asked, surprised. She looked at him through slitted eyes. "The only thing I just smelled was you." Mer-Ka's eyes widened, wondering if he had hurt her. "Oops, sorry." Cream stood up, shaking herself off. "All good. So what did you smell?" "I think owner brought home 2 more kitties," he explained, bouncing on his paws. Cream looked towards the shut sunroom door and sniffed the air as well. "I think you're right." They both ran to the closed door, sniffing and gently pawing at the bottom of the door. After a few moments, Cream noticed the bench sitting below the windows that would allow them to see inside. She pawed at Mer-Ka and pointed to the bench. They both jumped on it at almost the same time and looked in the windows, trying to see a glimpse of the newcomers. All they could see was the familiar cat carrier that they and then later the other 2 cats who lived in the house were carried home in when owner adopted them. "I don't see them," Cream mewed sadly. "Me either," Mer-Ka agreed. "Hope they're okay." "They're probably scared. I can smell fear in their scent. It was strong when I put my nose under the door." "Oh, poor things." She jumped back down to go sniff the door. Mer-Ka kept watching the small sunroom. He could see that owner placed food and water bowls in the room. They must be hungry, he thought. Why won't they come out? Any movement? Cream asked. No, Mo-Ka answered without looking at her. The carrier door is open, but there's no move. He cut off and his eyes widened as he thought he saw movement. There it was again. He could see gold hair move against the carrier door. Then he saw, moving slowly and cautiously, a fluffy face of gold and black fur moving out of the kennel. There, one of them is coming out, he mewed happily. Quiet, Cream hissed as she jumped back on the bench. You might scare it back in with all your noise. She crouched down low against the bench. Mo-Ka stayed sitting up as they quietly watched the newcomer carefully explore the sunroom. The kitten had cried when the car stopped and they were carried into the house. After a few stressful moments, the carrier was put down and the metal door was opened. Neither of them moved. Even the calm voice of the human could not convince the pair to move. After several more moments, they heard the human walk away and shut a door. The room was then quiet. All they could hear was their own breathing. Feeling now that the room was safe, the calico stuck her head out of the carrier, the gold fur on her cheeks brushing the sides of the opening. She then opened her mouth slightly to take in all the scents. I'm not picking up much. Wait, there are other cats who live here. She put a paw out on the cold tile floor. Startled, she held her paw up, sniffed it, and then the floor. Then she put her paw back down. She started out of the carrier and felt a tug on her tail. Don't! The kitten squeaked, wrapping his legs and white paws around her fluffy tail. Don't go away! She purred lightly. I'm not going far, she assured him. This looks like a small room. His big eyes looked at her unconvinced. She continued. I will stay where you can see me from here. If you can't see me, just mew loudly and I will come back, she assured him. After a few moments, he slowly released her tail. She lightly switched her tail side to side and then continued stepping out carefully out of the carrier. The first thing she noticed was so many windows. They surrounded the room. Large windows that started from halfway up the walls, reaching all the way to the ceiling. The fluffy calico noticed a chair by one of those windows. After giving the chair a proper sniff inspection, she jumped onto it and placed her front paws on the deep windowsill. She took in the scenery, tilting her head to the side in curiosity. This window looked outside. The view was not at all familiar to her. They were definitely a good distance away from their old territory. Peaches! A shrill cry cut through the room. The calico quickly jumped down and ran back to the carrier, sticking her head inside to give the tuxedo kitten a few comforting licks. It's okay, she said with a purr. There doesn't seem to be any danger around. Where are we? He asked, his eyes big and black with fear. I'm not sure. Definitely not near the alleyway, she replied. Are there other cats here? I thought I picked up some faint scent traces, but I haven't seen fur or tail of them yet, she said as she started to back out of the carrier. Oh, he replied with a relieved sigh. She turned to inspect the wall opposite the windows outside and froze. There were also windows on the other side showing more of the inside of the house. Just a few paw steps away, on the other side of the glass, sat a shaggy brown kitty with bright green eyes. I take that back, she said as the hair on her back twitched nervously. She forced her long fur to stay flat with great effort. Take what back? The kitten asked. There is another kitty here, she replied, not taking her eyes off the stranger. The brown kitty mewed lightly. Peaches couldn't hear what it said. But then she noticed there was another kitty crouched down next to it. The second kitty was cream-colored with brown ears and paws and light blue eyes. Just one? I can see two, but there may be more in other parts of the house. Great, the kitten sighed sadly. Peaches tried to ignore the stranger for the sake of further exploring the room. It did seem like the room was secure enough that however many kitties lived here, they could not get in the room with them yet. She needed to make sure this place was safe for the kitten before she could approach the other kitties. "What are you guys watching?" A gray tabby mewed and then jumped up on the bench between Mocha and Cream. He saw the calico in the sunroom. He put his paws in the window and sniffed the glass. "Careful, Pepper!" A white kitty with a pink bow behind her ears sitting on the floor behind them hissed at him. "You worry too much, Jewel. It's fine," Pepper replied. "She's right," Mocha commented. "Owner doesn't like you on the glass." "Don't get your tail in a knot. You'll give yourself a hairball," Pepper responded, his paws still on the glass as he watched the newcomer continue to explore the room. Cream's ear twitched and she looked back at the door that led to the garage. "I think Owner's coming back in." She jumped down and waited by the door. Pepper took his paws off the window. Jewel jumped on the bench in Cream's place to watch the sunroom with Mocha and Pepper. After the calico finished a couple laps around the room, she then walked back into the carrier. They waited for a few more heartbeats, but the calico did not come back out. "So," Jewel mewed, "now what?" Peaches considered her exploration a huge success. She found 2 bowls of good-smelling, crunchy food and clean water. In another corner, she found a box full of clean litter that didn't have any other cat scents. She also found many hiding places where she could keep the kitten safe when the plastic carrier was no longer an option. Now the challenge was getting the kitten to explore the room. "I don't want to," he shrieked at her. "Kitten," she started in a calm mew, but the tip of her tail was twitching in frustration. "The room is safe." "But you said there was a stranger, maybe more than one," he cried. Definitely more than one, she thought, but she didn't dare say it. "Yes, but they can't get to us. We are safe as long as we stay on this side of the windows." He didn't reply, just looked up at her with huge black eyes and a quivering lip. She carefully stepped forward and gave him a few sniffs. "Are you hungry?" His ears twitched, but he didn't move. She stepped closer and turned so she was brushing against him. "There is a whole bunch of food out there." "What kind?" "The fresh, crunchy kind." His nose twitched. "I don't smell it on you." "I wasn't going to eat without you." "How do you know that it's fresh then?" "It smells strong and pungent, not old or stale." He stretched forward, bobbing his head, trying to catch any kind of scent. "I don't smell it." "You have to come out into the room," she purred and licked his head. "No, it's safe here." Her tail twitched again, hitting the side of the carrier. "It is safe out there, too?" He curled up tightly in a ball. "No!" She nuzzled his neck and gently grabbed his scruff. He squeaked in protest, but she ignored him as she hauled him backwards out of the carrier. She then straightened up to the point his little white paws were off the ground. She turned and paused as she noticed the brown cat now had company. "I told you! The plastic box was safer!" He squealed as his paws scrambled helplessly, trying to break her grip. "Now there are more of them!" "I can see that," she mewed through her teeth. "Stop struggling. Put me down. I will." She held her head high and carefully stepped towards the food bowl. She then gently put him down, pressing him to the floor before loosening her grip on his scruff. "There. Now you might want to eat." He looked around wide-eyed and then crawled carefully to the bowl. He sniffed the food and took a couple of bites. "Good." Peaches purred, relieved. She moved next to him and ate some of the food with him. Her ear twitched as she heard a door opening, closing, and light footsteps approaching. She only stopped eating for a moment to focus on the sound, but did not look towards it so not to worry the kitten. When the footsteps left and she heard the door open and close again, she resumed eating. Once the kitten had gotten his fill, he cleaned his face and turned around. "Hey! Where? What? Peaches!" He mewed loudly. "The plastic box is missing." "I know," Peaches replied as she continued to eat. "Why didn't you say anything or stop it?" he shrieked. Because the room is safe. And that is what humans do after they bring kitties home. Home? This isn't home. The alley is home, he cried. That was never a real home, Peaches responded. Just a shelter and a hard way to live. She looked around the room again. This could be home. Owner, who are they? Where did they come from? Are they from the shelter? Are they okay? Why are they so scared? I want back rubs. The 4 kitties rubbed around Owner's legs, all mewing at the same time, as Owner left the sunroom and carried the carrier back into the room that leads to the garage. After putting the carrier away, Owner shut the main door and walked towards the kitchen, all while stepping carefully so not to step on any of the scrambling paws. Since they were in the kitchen, Mocha grabbed a quick snack at the nearby food bowl, and Cream joined him while Jewel continued to rub against Owner's legs. Do you think it's wise to leave the new kitties unsupervised? Cream asked between bites. They're locked in the sunroom. They won't be able to hurt anything, Mocha assured. I'm less concerned about them hurting something, thinking more about if they try to leave or hurt themselves, she stated. They will be fine. We'll go check on them after we're done snacking, Mocha suggested. That sounds good, Cream agreed. What sounds good? Jill asked, walking up to them. Just going to check on the strangers after we get a snack, Cream replied between bites. Okay, Jewel replied happily. Sounds good. Now, I have a question. Do you want a snack too? Mocha asked, stepping to the side to let her have a chance at the food bowl. No, I was just wondering where Pepper ran off to, she said in a cheery mew. Mocha stopped mid-bite and looked around the room. I thought he was here. He was rubbing against Owner's legs with us in the living room. Now that you mention it, I don't think he came into the kitchen with us, Cream commented. Then where is he? Mocha mewed. Pepper stared up at the top shelf where Owner had placed the carrier, and gauged how he could get up there without making much noise. Last thing he wanted to do was alert Owner to what he was doing. Owner would just yell until he jumped down. He was always getting yelled at. And it would be nice to accomplish one thing without being scolded or told to behave. Pepper was determined to investigate the carrier. He had to know if the strangers came from the shelter. He crouched down, shifting side to side on his back paws in preparation to jump. After a few moments, he jumped on top of the white washing machine. His back paws slipped a little, but after a few squeaky moments, he finally got on top of the cold machine. He took a deep breath and checked his surroundings again. He then realized that he needed to reassess his options. The carrier was one long jump straight up. He sniffed the air, trying to catch a scent, but it was too far away to catch anything more than an occasional whiff. He stretched up, placing his paws on the shelf just below the carrier, and sniffed again. The scent was stronger here, but he still couldn't detect much beyond fear. He sniffed around and found a pile of old towels next to the large opening of the carrier. He jumped up and squeezed between, his fur brushing uncomfortably close to the cold door. He felt some give from the towels and tried to turn around. Despite the towels moving slightly, it wasn't enough. He pawed at the towels, trying to move them away from the wall. The space opened wider and he tried to turn around again. He angled his back paws on top of the towels and lifted his face above the kennel. One back paw slipped into the space between the wall and the towels. With one last grunt, he slipped the second paw in the space, and the towels fell free. They hit the dryer with a thud, and some continued to the floor. Pepper looked down at them. Oops, he mewed. Well, so much for undetected. Owner will be here soon. Might as well complete this before the yelling starts. He stood in the large space and carefully sniffed the carrier. His own scent was now all over the door, and he still couldn't get a clear picture. He pressed his nose through the bars and slightly opened his mouth. He breathed in deeply. The strong, fierce scent coated his tongue like the bitter taste of vet medicine. He pulled back and sneezed hard. He used his paw and tongue to clean his nose and then resumed his position, trying to sniff through the scents. He squinted and focused. When he finally broke through the fear, he smelled the antiseptic smell of the vet's office tingling through his nose, and what might be each kitty's personal scent, but he couldn't know that for sure. Once he was done, he looked at the tingles going through his fur and sneezed again. He jumped, startled, as he heard footsteps coming towards him. Realizing that he didn't have time to jump down and run, he scrunched down on the shelf and prepared to hear his name very loudly. As soon as Owner opened the door, Pepper quickly jumped down and ran full speed between Owner's legs and around the couch towards the kitchen. His ears twitched as he heard his name called, but he didn't slow down. He did slow down to make the final turn, but ran straight into Jewel. The two kitties tumbled past the kitchen and into the foyer. "Ow!" Jewel squeaked, rubbing her head. "Oh no. Sorry, Jewel," Pepper apologized, backing up. "I didn't see you." "Obviously," Jewel responded, grooming her ruffled fur. "Are you okay?" he asked with a concerned sniff. "Yes," she said as she straightened her bow and regained her composure. Pepper then noticed Mocha and Cream standing in the threshold of the kitchen, watching them. "What are you guys doing?" "We were coming to look for you," Cream explained. "Where have you been?" "Yeah, you didn't come into the kitchen with the rest of us," Mocha added. "Oh, I was investigating the carrier to see if I could determine where the strangers were from," Pepper explained. "Great! What did you find?" Jill asked excitedly. "They spent some time at the vet and are not from the shelter," he mewed. The four cats exchanged looks as a heavy quiet settled over them. The first night was long and sleepless for Peaches. She found a safe place to lay, and the kitten snuggled up against her and quickly fell asleep. She stayed alert for every little sound and movement the kitten made, and in their surroundings. The other kitties had all gone to their respective sleeping places, and it had been hours since Peaches saw any movement from them. She felt herself lightly doze, but many thoughts kept her awake. She wondered when the human would start to introduce them to the other kitties, and what would happen. Would they be accepted? Would there be a fight? Would they lose this home if they could not get along with the others? She curled up tighter around the kitten and watched the window as light gradually filled the room. After some time passed, she lifted her head to listen to muffled noises coming from the other side of the windows that led into the house. She slowly shifted and stood up without waking the kitten. She walked towards the windows, her ears focused on the sounds, but unable to make any sense. She jumped on her chair and crouched down as she watched through the window. She stayed still as she watched the human walking back and forth. She scanned the floor and spotted two of the kitties milling around, but she couldn't find the other two. All of a sudden, the human came into the room. Peaches bounded back to the kitten and crouched in front of him, protectively. She watched the human freshen the food and water bowls. The human then looked at her, startling her, but she didn't dare move. If the kitten was about to be put in danger, it would be over her dead body. She planted her paws, ready to stand her ground, but the human just simply spoke to her very softly and then left the room. Peaches took a few cautious steps out to make sure the human had left. When the coast was clear, she gave the sleepy kitten a few comforting licks. The kitten sniffed and smelled the fresh food and immediately investigated the food bowl. Peaches also walked over to the food bowl, but still kept an eye on the door. Later, she started exploring near the door. She was so focused she didn't see the brown kitty sitting by the window. She suddenly got the feeling that she was being watched. She then turned her head up towards the window and jumped, her paws leaving the ground for a heartbeat. She then crouched back down with her eyes huge, and she didn't know what to do. The kitty's mouth moved in a mew, but Peaches barely heard him. She slowly approached the chair that was sitting by the window and jumped onto it. This brought her face to face with the other kitty, with only glass between them. "What?" she mewed loudly so he could hear her. "Sorry," he mewed back at her. "I didn't mean to startle you." "Oh, okay. My fault, I guess. Should have been paying closer attention to the rest of my surroundings," Peaches mewed. "Still, sorry," the brown kitty mewed awkwardly. "It's okay," She responded and looked down at the floor, preparing to jump. "My name is Mocha," the brown kitty mewed loudly. Peaches stopped and turned slowly. Should I tell him? Will this new human let me keep my name? She wondered. She knew it was a risk. Plenty of street cats told her of how many homes they would visit for food, and each by a different name. I like my name. I don't want it to change. She looked at Mocha, who was still waiting expectantly. If it happens, it happens. But for now. My name is Peaches. Mocha put his front paws in the glass and leaned his face closer. What? She repeated louder as she slowly approached the glass. My name is Peaches. Nice to meet you, Mocha replied. He scratched lightly on the glass. I hope Owner lets us meet and play soon. Owner? She repeated curiously in a low mew. She guessed that was the name the other kitties called the human who cared for them. Hopefully soon, she mewed a loud reply. In truth, she still wasn't sure she was ready to meet the others. She definitely wasn't ready for them to meet the kitten she protected. What is... Mocha was interrupted by the human called Owner walking back into the house. Owner stopped and watched Peaches carefully as Mocha jumped off the glass and started rubbing at Owner's legs. Peaches couldn't hear him, but she guessed by his behavior that he was purring. After a few moments, Peaches jumped down and looked for the kitten. A startling noise behind her caused her to turn around mid-jump. This Owner had come in with a carrier. Peaches tilted her head to the side. Why would they need that again? Were they being taken back to the vet? It's back! We're safe! The kitten ran past her and pawed at the carrier as soon as it hit the floor. Kitten, wait! Peaches called. But he went inside as soon as Owner opened the metal door. Peaches followed him in and the door closed as soon as her tail was clear. They were lifted off the floor. What were you thinking? She hissed at him. His ears laid back and his eyes went big. I thought it was safe. The room was safe. Now we're being taken to who knows where. As soon as the meow left her throat, the carrier was set back down. The two kitties froze. Where did we go? The kitten whispered. I don't know, she whispered back. She turned and looked out the door. We didn't go very far. And then the kennel door was opened. Peaches sniffed. We are still in the house. The scents of the other kitties are much stronger here. So, we are in the same area as the others? Is that safe? He asked, starting to worry. Peaches stepped carefully out of the kennel. She hoped she was wrong. She didn't think either of them were ready for this, but obviously Owner thought differently. She stood up straight, front paws out and back paws still in a carrier. She looked around slowly, taking in all the scents. Some of the scents she recognized from the stale ones in the other room. They were definitely stronger here, confirming her suspicion. It would take some time to discern each kitty's individual scent. Hi there, sounded a soft mew. She turned at the sound and saw the brown kitty. What was his name? He had just told her. Mocha? She asked slowly. Yes. His whiskers twitched. Yes, that's me. The other three kitties were walking up from behind him. Peaches flattened her ears and backed up into the carrier, placing one back paw on the kitten to keep him from getting out. Hey, it's okay, Mocha mewed calmly. He lay down, ears up and fur flat. Let me introduce you to my friends, he said as his tail swished to each kitty. This is Cream. His tail swished before the cream and brown female kitty she had seen the day before. This is Pepper, a male gray kitty with dark gray stripes. And Jewel, a white female with a pink bow behind her ears. Guys, this is Peaches. Nice to meet you, Jewel mewed. Take your time. You're safe here, Cream purred. Hey, added Pepper, who was a little bored. Peaches just stared at them for several heartbeats. Can I meet them? Kitten suddenly squeaked from the carrier as he pushed against Peaches' leg. No, she said as she pushed back. Stay in there. He can come out, Mocha said in a calm mew. I promise you both are safe here. Peaches looked around at all four of the kitties. She did see reservation, caution, and welcome in their stances, scents, fur, and tail flicks. But one thing that was not present at all was aggression. She turned her head back towards the kitten and took a deep breath. The scent on him was mainly frustration, a little fear, but the only aggression was all from her. That wasn't good. How was this an example to the kitten? She wanted him to be cautious, but friendly to the other kitties. But right now, she was exhibiting the exact opposite in body language and attitude. How could these other kitties be so friendly right out the gate? Maybe there was more to learn about interacting with others. Could these kitties teach her and the kitten? Only one way to find out. Trust had to start somewhere, and right now, the first move was hers to make. She stepped all the way out of the carrier and turned around to encourage the kitten. Do you want to meet them? He looked at her with big round eyes. You just said no, he squeaked. She sighed. Yes, I did. I'm sorry. I seem to be more scared of this new home than you are, but it does seem safe. She exchanged looks with Mer-Ka and then looked back at the kitten. So if you want to come out, you will be okay. The kitten sniffed and then bounded out of the carrier in 2 bounces. His little round belly and short legs immediately set him apart in appearance from the other 5 kitties. His bright blue eyes shined brightly as Mer-Ka proceeded to introduce himself and his friends to the kitten. What is your name? Jill approached with a bounce. The kitten sat down sadly. I don't have one. That's okay. I'm sure owner will give you a name. That's who gave us all of our names. I hope so. Peaches is worried that her name will be changed. Kitten. Peaches started to scold him. Kitten? Jill repeated. Is that your name? Only Peaches can call me that, he hissed. Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't mean. Jill jumped back. Kitten, be nice. Peaches scolded, but placed her tail comfortingly across his back. Sorry. The kitten started to pout again, placing his belly down close to the floor. That's okay. Jill approached him again. When owner gives you a name, I'll call you that, okay? His ears perked up. Okay. Jill placed her chin on the floor and gently placed her nose close to his. They took in each other's scent, and then the kitten rolled over on his side to show his white belly. Happy and playful scents swirled around the room as the kitten batted at Jill's inquisitive paw as she tried to tickle his belly. Peaches sat straight and stiff as a statue. She was glad to see him take so well to these kitties, but stayed on high alert. He would not be hurt as long as she drew breath. A promise made what seemed like a lifetime ago, but still applied to this day, and forever. You have long fur, Mer-Ka commented next to her. She suddenly felt embarrassed. Even though Mocha's fur looked a little shaggy, the other's short fur looked so shiny and well-groomed. She quickly realized that just with the kitten's short, round stature, her long fur with various patches of white, black, and orange made her stand out in appearance from the others. Yeah, Jill exclaimed, her paw in the air as she paused mid-strike. How do you keep it so clean? Your white patches are so bright. I don't know. I just give myself daily baths. Cool. Then maybe you won't be subject to owner's many pesky baths, Pepper commented. It's not that owner gives us too many baths, interjected Cream. It's just that some of us seem to get dirtier than the rest of us. Hey, Pepper replied. It's not my fault. I get bored. You really should blame whoever it was that made dirt so much fun to play with. Speaking of bored, have fun, you guys. He then turned and trotted off to another room. Don't get in any trouble, Jill called after him. No promises, he replied. The remaining kitties proceeded to sniff each other, learning their scents. Peaches found herself slowly relaxing, but was determined to still stay vigilant to protect Kitten. But she knew, somewhere deep inside her, that she might need to let these other cats protect him as well. She wasn't quite ready to admit it, but there was hope in her heart that they had finally found home.